Okay, guys, good morning. So my current teaching. It's based on the top women in the Bible, the praying women in the Bible that were used by God, and I'm going to begin with the story of Hannah. We're all aware of how Penina, her co-wife, went on infuriating her until Anna was so trembled with irritation. Like Anna got really upset. She was trembled. She was upset. She was irritated. She was vexed because she was not vexed because she could not give herself a child, or she could not get pregnant for her child, her husband. She was vexed because it was God. God had not given her children. She was vexed. The Bible made us understand that God is the Father of all good gifts, and that every gift comes from God. There's nothing we've received that has not come from God. So the wife, husband, job, children that you have, you should have this mindset of consciousness that they all came from God. You have them because God gave them to you. So Hannah was so trembled because God had not given her children. So this went on year after year, and then it was it was not enough to just weep and just refuse to eat. But one day she really got up and presented herself before God. She brought herself before God. She brought her situation before God. She was heartbroken, yes, but she began to pray. She was weeping, yes, but she began to pray before God. She cried the whole time she was praying. She poured out her heart to God. She had to make, like, it was more like, as in, at a point she didn't even know what to say, that she was sobbing. What was Hannah's prayers? What was her prayer? Give to me and I will give back to you. You can see how sad I am. Remember me and do not forget me. Although God has told us, I will never forget you, neither will I forsake you. But she had to bring that in remembrance. God said, when you come before him, bring your strong reasons. And Hannah's reason was, give me this child and I will give this child back to you. I'm giving it back to you because you're the one who gave it to me in the first place. So the question is, how will you keep drinking and make a spectacle of yourself? How will you keep complaining and make a spectacle of yourself? You're in this situation like Hannah. Hannah did not just, she was, at a point she stayed with everything Penina was doing to her. The responses Penina wanted to get from Hannah, the negative vibes and all of those. But Hannah remembered that she had a God. I don't know whatever it is you're going through. As a woman, you should know your stance. You should know your place. You should know that God you should know what God has placed in you as a woman. It's not about you drinking when you're in bad situations. It's not about you complaining and, you complain to people that will make ridicule or a spectacle of you behind your back. No. But God is asking that you pour out that pain in your soul to him. Pour out the wound in your spirit to him. You're sad. You have too many problems. You're deeply troubled. Sister, pray. You're deeply perturbed. Sister, pray. Your husband is misbehaving. Sister, pray. Your children are not going in the right direction. Sister, pray. Newsflash, God gives you what you ask for. Most times when we receive things, it's because we're not even aware of what we asked for. That's the most times people even meet their spouses, meet opportunities, and they miss it because they were not even aware of what they were asking for. They didn't even know what they were asking for. At the end of the prayers, Hannah arose and she went back to where she was staying at Shiloh. And the Bible said the sadness lifted from her, so she was able to eat. I'm not eating because my husband made me sad. I'm not eating. I'm worried because my kids are misbehaving. Sister, pray. Elkanah slept with Hannah. This Bible said after the whole prayers, the sadness lifted from her. She went back to her house. Elkanah slept with her husband, had intercourse with her. He slept with his wife. He did not sleep with his girlfriend. Elkanah did not sleep with his fellow man. Listen, and God remembered Hannah's prayers. And the new year, Hannah became pregnant, and her response was, I asked the Lord for it. What is it you're asking the Lord for? When that thing comes, I hope we'll all be able to recognize it. So the story of Samuel began with the faithful prayer of a woman who wanted to be a mother. So your story can begin with your faithful prayer as a sister who wants to be married, as a sister or as a mother as a wife who wants to have kids, as a wife who wants her husband to go in the right direction. Okay, so the underlying message here is faith and trust in God. And I had this faith, this built up faith and trust in God than any trust you could place in human beings. You remember her husband told her, oh, why are you worried? Why are you perturbed? Why are you disturbing yourself? But you have me, you know I love you. I know in her mind she must have been like, oh, I know you love me, but this is way more than what I'm looking out for. Her prayer for a child, her absolute trust in God's plan, her willingness to be a part of what God was doing resonates as the kings and warriors began to enter the stage. Yes, Samuel actually became a priest that was chosen by God. Without Hannah's faith, there wouldn't have been any story. Without your faith, there would be no story. Without your prayers, there will be no story. That change you desire in your home, the change you desire in your husband, the change you desire in every area, like without your prayers, there will be no story. Well, whatever God gave Hannah, she dedicated back to him. She did not give up Samuel, but she returned Samuel to God. God gave you the husband. Commit your husband in the hands of God. God gave you the children. Commit your children into the hands of God. God gave you that job. Commit your job into the hands of God. God gave you your family. Commit them into the hands of God. Return them back to God who gave it to you in the very first place. Let me stress on this antidote to discouragement. Earlier on, Anna had been discouraged at the point of being, physically sick and unable to eat. But at this point, she returned home. After the prayer, she returned home very well and happy. So the change in her attitude was attributed to these three factors. She had prayed honestly to God, not holding back anything from him. An honest prayer. She had prayed honestly to God. She did not hold back anything from him. Whatever it be, it just come to God the way. I've had most times people just look at others, and some people look at me from my friends are like, Momo, you're strong. I've had moments when the place of prayer, even God had booked me up to pray, and I'm like, I'm not praying. You think I'm going to talk? I'm not talking to you. You said this. I talked about this. Is this not what you said in your word? You have failed. In fact, you're not faithful. I said things. I came the way it was in my heart. But the Holy Ghost comforted me or consoled me with with his word, and then I knew I was wrong anyway. So the second one is Hannah received encouragement from Eli, the priest. The third one, she had resolved to leave the problem with God. She didn't just pray and in her mind, I've left the problem with God, and then in her head, she went back home with, am I sure God will do this? No. When you pray, be sure, be certain of whom before you appear. So let's learn to tell God how we really feel and leave our problems with him. Don't leave all of your problems with him. Leave it at the feet of the cross. Leave it before his feet. Then rely on the support. You could rely on the support of good friends. I'm not talking about backstabbing friends. I'm not talking about friends who show no concern for you or about you. So leave your problems to God. Leave it completely and rely on counselors and good friends, possibly family members. I know God. We know whom we're serving. We know whom has saved us. We know who's before we appear. So let us be very conscious that when we come before God, he hears us. He said we should come boldly. So we come with the consciousness that he's anticipating, to see us, to hear us, and he's always willing to answer our prayers. And our testimonies are really going to be mind-blowing, such that cannot even be comprehended. It's more like, I don't understand. And then you're like, your response will be, this is the finger of God. Have a great day, everybody, and I